Welcome to this screen recording about the verb phrase. Here we will be looking at finite and non-finite verb forms, and we'll be distinguishing between lexical and auxiliary verbs. If we begin with finite verb forms, in all of these circumstances we have a finite verb. In this case, and in this case, and in this case, there's only one verb in the sentence. When there is only one verb in a clause, then it is a finite verb. Now consider these cases here, where the verb form changes. Why do we have an S here, just the basic form here, and an ed form here? Well, the reason is that these change depending upon what you have in the subject. It depends on whether the finite verb changes for tense, number, and or person. And such a verb is called finite because it's limited to the circumstance of the subject. Let's move on. Finite verbs require subjects. So in each of these cases there is only one finite verb. Where's the finite verb? Well, this is the finite verb here. How about in these cases? Where's the finite verb? This is the finite verb. The finite verb changes if it's in first person or second person, or the finite verb changes if it's in present tense or past tense. And here the finite verb has changed. It's has or have, and it depends on whether the number, whether it's plural or not. So when you write your essay or your text of some kind and you checked your draft, you must be on the lookout for at least one finite verb in each sentence or clause. Therefore you can avoid a sentence like this: in May, after writing the national examinations. This is a clause, a sentence, which does not have a finite verb. So if there are finite verbs, then there are also things called non-finite verbs. So in each of these sentences, where is the finite verb? And which are the non-finite verbs? All these are finite. These are all non-finite. They do not change if you change for person, number, or tense. Here are some more examples. And these are how the non-finite verbs are realized. So you have a finite verb here, and all these in yellow are non-finite verb forms. It's the bare infinitive, just the verb without the to, a to infinitive. This is called a present participle because it ends in ing, and this is called a past participle because it ends in ed. Now there are some good tricks for identifying the finite verb. It's called the eller-hur test. It's a tag question. It helps to identify the finite verb and the head of the subject. So this is a tag. They were going to the party, weren't they? So the tag picks up the finite verb, and it also picks up the head of the subject. In another example, they have been found guilty. If you were wondering which is a finite verb, you do the elehud, and in English this would be they have been found guilty, haven't they? The haven't refers to the finite verb there, and this refers to the subject, they. So it's a useful trick to do this tag question. Try some more now. We can now look at some more tags, because this elehud test only works when there is more than one verb in the verb phrase. So if you, for example, have Jane plays football, the tag here is doesn't she? Or in they went to the park, elehud, they went to the park, didn't they? So the thing to remember here is if the tag is a form of do, does or didn't, then it picks up on the fact that there's only one verb in the verb phrase. If, for example, if this had been Jane can play football, then the tag would have been can't she. So it would pick up on another verb here. But because there is only one verb, this is why you have the form of does. Here's a small test that you can do for yourselves. In a moment I'll ask you to pause this recording, and it will give you a chance to identify the finite verbs before you see the answers given to you. So here you have to identify only the finite verbs in all of this text. So pause the text now. Okay, so now you have done these, and you have the following finite verbs. You have stopped, bought, told, had, will, share, had, was, worked, became, moved, enjoyed. These are all the finite verbs. Now, we've